Look at this amazing location. I'm here at sunset and I've arrived early because what I want to do tonight is take a night shot of this scene. Now I came here earlier today to recce it out and check it out and see whether the composition would work and whether it would be feasible for a good night shot. And we've got all these amazing boulders and rock formations here popping out of this grass, and we've got this lovely little fort there, and then we've got this big area of sky behind, and that's facing north towards the pole star. Now I'm hoping if the sky stays clear and if the moon doesn't come up too much that I will be able to capture some star trails in my night shot. Now one other little trick that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually paint with light, and basically I'm going to use one of these high powered torches. You can see my equipment over here, and I've got a high powered torch. This is a 10 million candle power torch, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to paint my scene and paint parts of the rocks and capture some light on the rocks that you wouldn't get. Now that'll make for quite a surreal scene, but I'm also going to just try some standard exposures as well, just to capture the scene under the night sky, and as I say, hopefully pick up some of those star trails. Now these sort of pictures are quite tricky to do. You need to have your camera in manual mode and using it in bulb mode. Now bulb mode means that you can control the exposure well beyond the normal 30-second range, and I'm going to be aiming for exposure times of about 15 to 20 minutes. Now I don't know if you can see this, but here's the shot I took earlier this afternoon, which is what I just took as a reconnaissance sort of shot, basically just to check the location out and make sure that the scene was feasible. And now that I've done that, it's given me a good idea of where and how I'm going to compose my shot. So I'm going to get that set up ready so that I'm not trying to fumble around in the dark trying to find my composition. So what I'm doing now is I'm just checking my composition and checking a slight few alterations on that composition to see if I can find the best place to set my camera up, because I really want to be able to concentrate on the light painting, and the fact that we're going to be doing exposures of about 20 minutes, sometimes even longer, means that I haven't got a lot of time to take lots and lots of pictures. So I really need to make sure that the pictures I'm taking are working out well. So I'm really going to concentrate on getting my composition as accurate as possible for this first shot. Now when you're painting with light with a big torch like this, it's okay if you're in the shot yourself. The exposure time is of like 15-20 minutes. Now as long as I don't stay still and I move around, my image won't record in the shot. But what you do need to be careful of is these high power torch beams, that they don't shine into the camera, because I'm going to use this torch to paint the rocks and paint parts of the shot. Now I know the boundaries of my shot. I already know that the edge of my frame finishes here, and I also know that the other side of my frame finishes over there. So I know where the edges of my picture are, but I need to be very careful. It's important that I don't go into shot and shine the torch directly into my camera. Otherwise this bright beam of light is going to spoil the shot. So don't worry about moving around within your shot as long as you keep the beam facing away from the camera. Okay, so what mode do we need to be in to take these shots? Well, we're familiar with shooting in manual because that's the best way to shoot. We've got manual control of the shutter speed, manual control of the aperture. But there is a problem. In manual mode, our shutter speed only goes as low as 30 seconds. Now, we want to do exposures of 15 or 20 minutes. So how do we do that? Well, we need to switch the camera out of manual mode. Now there's a special mode for this, and there we are in manual mode, and I'm going to change it over to the mode called bulb mode. Now bulb mode is the mode that allows us to lock the shutter open. Now to lock that shutter open, we have to use a cable release. I've got one here in my pocket. Now this cable release, this is one of the more advanced cable releases, but any of the basic cable releases will do the trick. Basically, you plug this into the camera, avoids any camera shake when you take the shot because you press the button here, but you can also lock the shutter open. When you're in bulb mode, by locking that, it'll keep the shutter open for as long as you want. Now on this advanced cable release, I can even set the length of the exposure into the digital program here. So I can tell it that I want a 10-minute exposure, a 20-minute exposure, or I can even even set it to take exposures at certain time intervals. But even a basic ordinary cable release will allow you to just do the fundamentals of locking the shutter open when you're in bulb mode, and then you can just use your watch as a timer. Okay, so what I'm doing here is just painting the rocks. As I said, I'm being careful not to try and get that torch beam into my camera, and as long as I keep moving around, then I won't be visible in the shot. So I'm going to go over to this side now, and I'm just going to turn my torch away from camera and come in this side here. I'm going to paint this rock in here and all that. Now, you see, by moving the torch around, you've got to move it around quite rapidly, because what you want to do is make sure you don't get any streaks of light that are all in one place. So you've got to cover as much of the surface area as you possibly can. So you can see that's what I'm doing here, painting around. Don't get any light on your own body as well, because you don't want to show you your own body image into the shot. And you can keep moving around. Here I'm going over to this rock now, painting that rock. And you need to spend a little bit of time on each rock. And this is something that you'll have to test to see how it's going to work. You might find that you didn't spend enough time on a given rock and you need to go back and redo some more. But you'll only see that from your test results. But with your digital LCD screen, it gives you the great opportunity of being able to see what's happening. So you can do this for 5 minutes on a test exposure, or 10 minutes, 15, 20. But if you want to pick up any star trails, then you're probably going to need exposures of at least 15, 20 minutes on a wide angle, super wide angle lens. And you can see obviously this larger area of this little fortress is going to be a lot more difficult to cover. So by having a 15-minute or 20-minute exposure means you've got plenty of time to go around and pick up all of these rock surfaces that you want to get in your shot.